Alright everybody, NATO, Trudeau, and Trump have apparently come to terms with the idea of renegotiating NAFTA. Now, if you look at the link in the description, CNN, you'll see the making of a hit piece against Trump. You see, what they've done here with the title is, oh, Trump is going to keep us in NAFTA for now. This is obviously because a lot of people only read the headline, they don't read the sum and substance. Some of his core fans will look at that and they'll say, oh, Trump is selling out again, he's keeping us in this trade deal. What he said during the campaign is exactly what appears to be ready to happen, which is NAFTA is going to be renegotiated. There was a lower chance he was going to get us out entirely. It's already an established, signed, down pat trade deal. It simply needs to be renegotiated so that we're not losing, hundreds of thousands of jobs in the United States. That's all he needs to do. This will be a boon for U.S. jobs. It won't be some, massive tidal wave, but if it's combined with this new tax rate he's talking about, if that gets passed so that small businesses, instead of paying more than a third of their income out, are only paying 15%, oh yeah, you're going to have a lot of jobs in the United States. The economy will really pick up. 3%, which Trump is using as a growth marker, yeah, that's reasonable. It's achievable. You could see high, maybe you see 4%. We could become, a juggernaut again, which is our right. We have the ingenuity, we have the resources, we have the intellect to do so. Why the hell aren't we capitalizing upon that fact? I think that a lot of people, the neocons and neolibs, they got so used to making money over in Asia with their sweatshop labor. 'Cause, I mean, that's the stuff they invest in, like the Clintons and Obamas and Bushes. They all invest overseas anyway. All their buddies do. They don't really care about U.S.-only firms. I'm starting to think that the growing new deep state is sort of a U.S.-centric system, wherein a bunch of U.S. Corporate barons that really want to keep things here and sort of laugh as the rest of the world burns, or at least the countries we've invested in heavily, are the ones pulling the strings. If so, by the way, so be it. At least they're not multinationals. Yeah, I know people are worried about Kushner and some of that stuff. I should probably make a video about that topic too. But it's better than it was before. The mere fact that he would make an attempt to renegotiate NAFTA after, how many decades has it been since it was signed? I think it's almost 2 decades since it was signed, and of course it was sort of designed in the Clinton era. It was a retarded deal. It didn't help our industry here. It did destroy some businesses. The TPP would have been worse. It's like this hit piece that they had, honestly, in Breitbart, taking off of, I think it was the Daily Star, selling some rag in the UK, talking about, oh, Trump may go back and negotiate and try to sign the TTIP or something. And that was never actually going to happen. The entire article is nothing more than cheap clickbait. All they say is, oh, well, we have an anonymous source that claims an anonymous source within the Trump administration says that Trump might be considering signing the TPP. 3 different layers of rumor, and they considered that newsworthy, and other groups, including those that backed Trump during the election, thought that it was newsworthy too. That's cheap clickbait. The CNN title here is cheap clickbait. It's a hit piece. That being said, Trump is doing exactly what his fans hired him to do in the first place. Yeah, we don't want the TPP. We want NAFTA renegotiated. We want a wall on the southern border that the Republicans in Congress are the ones standing in the way. They're the ones refusing to fund it. So far, the only major mistake he made, in my estimation, is bombing that Syrian airfield, and it was a one-off and ultimately forgivable. Still don't like it? Yeah, I've still got, a chip on my shoulder about that. I don't think he should have done it. But ultimately, we're going to move past that. His tax plan could be reformulated to be better, but it's a good start. It's certainly going to give relief to small businesses and U.S. industry. They'll come roaring back to life. The Rust Belt, you're going to get what you wanted if this tax plan passes through. It may not help, like, the entrepreneurial side as much, like small business, but here's the other thing. Here's the big secret. The economy is intertwined. If a bunch of people who right now have to work double shift at Wendy's go back to the sort of blue-collar machining and carpentry and plumbing and factory, assembly workers and stuff, if they go back to those jobs, if U.S. industry comes back, millions of people have more money to spend on the kind of goods that I supply too. They have more money potentially to donate to entrepreneurs. It just works. Yeah, it increases U.S. wealth at the expense of other countries that have been siphoning that wealth. There's no reason to send that wealth overseas. So I rise in support of his tax proposal. I think he should go further. think you should start slashing bureaucracy left and right and pay for additional tax cuts. There shouldn't be a self-employment tax. There shouldn't be a payroll tax. Axe some of these agencies, get rid of them, and we can really get back to work as a country. As far as NAFTA goes, it's not helping us. It doesn't seem to have increased the number of U.S. jobs or increased wages. No, in fact, all it does is move a lot of that industry to Mexico, using resources in many ways from Canada that flood our markets and, you know, screw around with some of the cottage industries that we have, again, mostly in the Rust Belt, Minnesota, places like that, Wisconsin. So they get screwed. And then it drops the price of goods. But the thing is, it doesn't matter if you drop the price of goods if people are making less money in your country. It looks good on paper. Oh, the price of goods fell 10%. Yeah, but wages fell 20%. It doesn't help us. That's the problem with all of these trade deals. They're engineered specifically to benefit multinational corporations. Those are the only people that benefit from them. It's like globalism. Globalism, who benefits from it? Multinational corporations and establishment politicians who take money from the multinational corporations. Every single time one of these trade deals is struck, every single time there's a proxy war, every single time something goes wrong, they're the ones inevitably benefiting. 99% of the population does, and it doesn't matter whether they're in the upper class or they're very, very poor. It doesn't matter whether they're out of work or overworked or they're still seeking employment. It doesn't matter who they are. They all get screwed. NAFTA is a disaster. Yeah, it should be renegotiated. Pulling us out all of a sudden, it's not even necessary. If you can renegotiate it to address those issues, you can keep the deal itself. And it's not going to hurt U.S. industry. It's not going to hurt U.S. business. You combine it with this tax plan. I predict that over the next few years, once the tax plan is struck, if it stays roughly in the form it's in, the United States job growth will probably double. And he's going to take credit for that. It won't be anything that Obama had anything to do with. And he's going to say, look, yeah, I was right. Our economy is coming back to life. Growth has picked up again. You know, the recession's definitely over. Here, look, 500,000 more people that were, like, you know, underemployed, that had been working in a factory and making like $30 an hour. Now they're back to doing it. For a while there under Obama, they were working at Wendy's or something like that. And it just works. It's good for our economic health. It's good for our economic growth. We can actually compete with these other countries that have such fast-growing economies, especially in Asia and even now parts of Africa. We don't have to compete with Europe anymore, because their growth is way lower than ours in many cases. Maybe Poland or something like that. Some of these rising economies over there, as far as the UK, France, Germany, they're a joke. I hate to say it, but the Western European economies at this point are a joke. We're competing with places like a few places that are stable in Latin America and, you know, parts of more developed Africa like Nigeria or South Africa, and then like China and places like that. Those are our major competitors economically speaking. Yeah, it's not Western Europe, and it's not 50 years ago. And all these trade deals. We have North American Free Trade Agreement. And it doesn't actually really have anything to do with free trade. It just has to do with us getting screwed economically. At the time, on paper, I like to believe in the benevolence of some of the people who designed it. They said, well, it'll drop the price of goods, so it'll be good. But they didn't focus on what would happen to U.S. jobs and wages. That's the problem. They didn't look at the economy as a whole. They only looked at the one optimistic element of NAFTA, and they assumed that it was going to be good for our country, and it wasn't good for our country. So why the hell did we keep it so long? So fuck the legacy media's hit pieces. They're completely and utterly wrong. Anyone who read the article knows that it was. I mean, it's so obvious. It's complete yellow journalism. People have realized, people at CNN, MSNBC and stuff, if they put in a clickbaity title that indicates that Trump has done something wrong, then even if all of his fans would agree that what he's actually doing based on the text of the article is a good thing to do, like they would totally agree with it, some of those people, they won't read the article and they'll say, oh, Trump is letting us down again. Oh, he's sold out to the establishment or something. Well, on this one, you can't say that because it's the opposite of what he's doing. You don't have to think Trump is perfect or even good. When I was speaking with Molyneux, I said I give him a 6 out of 10, which is to say good, not great, but decent, not doing anything particularly wrong. He would have had a 7 if it weren't for the Syria airfield bombing, by the way. That was a fairly large sticking point. He would have been near great if it hadn't been for that. Even if it's just a token, I can't support it. I just can't support any more proxy bullcrap in the Middle East unless it solely fixates on bombing ISIS positions. That's all I can accept. I don't want to go after Assad. I don't want to go after the Iranians or the Iraqi, some group in Iraq or something. I'm done with that. We've been doing that crap since 9/11. In fact, diplomatically, we were doing it a lot earlier than that. We were waging wars in that area when I was a little kid. We're talking like Desert Storm and stuff like that. I just can't accept that anymore. But that doesn't make him perfect. Good and perfect are different things. But he's not a failure. He's trying to get the wall built. It's just the Republicans won't fund it. He's renegotiating NAFTA. He's got the consent already of the president of Mexico and the Prime Minister of Canada. Okay, well, score number one. He didn't sign the TPP. Score number two. And all these rumors about him bringing it back appear to be completely ludicrous. NATO, he's still talking about reforming NATO. He never said he was going to scrap it. Some people were under the illusion that that's what he said he wanted to do. So I'm not seeing what exactly he's done wrong. If anything, he hasn't gone far enough on taxes, and that would be a holdback. That and maybe a little dick-wagging regarding Syria, which I, again, don't support. But as far as most of his plans go, the main obstruction is coming from federal courts. It can't come from the Democrats in Congress. They can't stand in his way. He got Gorsuch onto the Supreme Court, and a lot of people, they acted like it was no big deal, by the way, at the time. The left rambled for a few days, completely forgot about it. The right wing didn't even give him proper kudos for that. It's like they talked about, oh yeah, Gorsuch, by the way, he got confirmed today. Okay, well, that story's over. It should be a major story. You now have a complete Supreme Court. The justice that Trump wanted is the one that happened to take that position. He's a suitable replacement for Scalia. What's wrong with that? Well, I'm racking my brains. What exactly has Trump done wrong, other than possibly endanger our operations against ISIS in Syria? That's definitely a blot on his early presidential career, but at least he's trying. When Obama faced obstruction, he just sat down, shut up, and did nothing for months at a time. Trump crafted a new deportation system within days of his original failing because of federal courts. Now he's got to go back to the drawing board a third time because of those idiots in Hawaii and elsewhere. He'll get it done, though. It will happen. And they can still deport people in the meanwhile. It just makes their job a little bit harder because it's not necessarily ironclad on paper. By the way, no, I wouldn't deport the Dreamers. I don't fucking care about the issue. A small segment of people, and they've gone to college here, they serve in the military. Yeah, who cares? They're already speaking English. They already probably are paying taxes. If they haven't done anything else wrong, yeah, I'll show them amnesty. Who cares? Everyone else, though, yeah, they'd be subject to deportations. Tillerson, I believe, was the one that made it clear that that would happen. So you're talking about 10 million people. Well, you can't keep them in a legal gray area forever. The federal courts need to understand something does need to be done. You may not agree with what's being done, but I mean, since when has a federal court anyway been able to overrule the actions of the federal government? I was under the illusion, I guess, that only the Supreme Court could do so with a permanent injunction in the form of a Supreme Court decision, and that a federal court could only issue a temporary injunction. Apparently, that's not actually how it works with some of these Obama-era judges. They're like super judges or something like that. And I'm not even going off into judicial supremacy la-la land here. I understand. People, if someone's like a partisan, they always love the judiciary when it props up their side of the argument, and they always desperately hate it and ramble about judicial activism when it doesn't. So gay marriage gets passed, people on the right, they whine about it. Chicago versus McDonald gets passed, the right wing loves it, and all of a sudden the left wing is talking about judicial activism. But in this case, these are federal judges, this isn't the Supreme Court. It is a little bit odd, all things considered. But NAFTA will be renegotiated, ignore the hit piece title, in fact, and compare it to the text of the article and see if this isn't a hit piece. It'd be very funny to you, probably. That's about all. Peace out.